What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. We got college football week 3 recap. What I'm really excited about is next week. We got the big time schools coming back, like Alabama, who hasn't even played yet. We're talking Florida. We're talking the SEC. We're talking Georgia. I cannot wait, man. I'm so excited for college football. And I know I said before, what's really important is the Big Ten is coming back, baby. Let's go. They are coming back. I would say late October 23rd, October 24th, somewhere around exact that dates. I love it though. I'm so glad because, obviously being a Midwest kid, Big Ten's huge in the Midwest. So with the Big Ten being out of college football this year, I really looked down upon it. I was like, what is going on? What are they thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was going through their mind? But obviously, really some moves that were made, and I get it. The coronavirus is something real. It would be ignorant to sit up here and say, it's all fake, right? But some people really think it's fake. And I'm thinking, dude, people have really died from this virus. We need to take it serious. But I think ultimately, as a society, we will overcome it. Now, me being a Notre Dame fan, it's really bad now because we've got some news that a couple Notre Dame players have tested for coronavirus to me, and they just had a postponed game this coming up week. They were supposed to play this weekend, and now it's postponed, I believe, in December. To me, it's just like, when? When is it going to stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to wear a mask anymore out in public. Do you guys? No, but I cannot wait for it to be over. Like I said, Notre Dame, they started off pretty good. They destroyed South Florida. The over-under was 48. I went with the over, and I barely nailed that. Okay? Barely nailed it. They blew him out. Ian Book went 12 for 19 with 143 yards. And like I said, their game is postponed this coming up week due to the coronavirus. Yo, hey, thank you, coronavirus, for the stuff you done for America. Psych! What is going on? I hate that. And then we got Tulsa versus Oklahoma State. I picked Oklahoma State. They did not cover. They only won 16-7. And I said prior, the over-under was 66.5 points. And I said, look, Vegas is telling us something that, 66.5 is ridiculous, insane, dude. So I went to the chalkboard and said, look, no way. I went with the under and got it right, barely. Okay? So the teams like this, like Oklahoma State, they need to keep winning to maybe even get a consideration. And like I said, obviously the Big Ten schools, like Ohio State, if they go undefeated, win the Big Ten, look, they might get that fourth or third seed in. And I know there's going to be some controversy down that road eventually. But, this whole year, 2020, has thrown a curveball to us humans, right? They just thrown a complete curveball. And it's like, dude, what do we do? How are we going to react? But I think we're really just going with the punches here. Not getting knocked out. We're just rolling with the punches. And then we have Louisiana versus Georgia State. I picked Louisiana in this. They barely won in overtime. Crazy game. I love it, though. College football. Let's get it. Then we got UCF versus Georgia Tech. I understand that was my upset pick. I thought Georgia Tech was going to come out a little faster than what they did. They really came out slow. Yes, I understand they scored a couple touchdowns, but come on. UCF, I should have never went against UCF. They did cover. It was a good game, and they went with the over, dude. High-scoring game here, and we see that in college football. We see these high-scoring games. Obviously, it's not like the NFL. The NFL, yes, it could be high-scoring games, but typically in NFL, you're not going to see the high-scoring games like you're used to seeing, like 38 to 45 type scores. Definitely come playoff time. Because when the playoffs come, even in college football, the elevated play just keeps rising. The levels keep going and increasing. So to me, when you go with the over and under late in the postseason or late in the season into the playoffs, I typically would advise the sports bettors out there to go with the under, strictly because people are playing stronger defense. Okay, so that's moving forward. Then we have Appalachian State versus Marshall. I picked Appalachian State because they have the greatest college football upset in college football history. When they beat Michigan, went into the Big House in 2007, it was a long shot. I'm sure the odds were insanely crazy, but Appalachian State got it done, and they won. They won. They beat Michigan, and that's kind of why I picked them. I wanted to see them come on top. They were 4.5 point favorites, and Marshall ended up winning. And the over/under was 59.5. Obviously, it was under this game, dude. I mean, this is crazy, dude. I mean, this is some real stuff that's going on here. But I think overall, dude, I love college football. You know, it's similar. I don't want to, obviously, the sports are way different than college football and college basketball, but it's kind of similar in a way, dude. I feel like there's more passion involved in college sports. That's why when I first heard about the news dealing with everything that's going on, dealing with the cancellations, I was like, really? They're really going to cancel the Big Ten? And I'm hearing sources, they're trying to get the MAC back. Look, you know, it's a long shot, really. You know, I feel sorry for all the people that have to miss out seasons now. You know, this is serious, dude. This is real shit. I cannot believe it, but I can't. I really can't. Clemson, they ended up covering. They were 44.5-point favorites. They won soundly with the shutout. I mean, who did they play? You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these big-time games, like Clemson, like Bama, they play these, like, schools that, you know, no one's really heard of, dude. You know, I mean, their population at the school is probably like 2,000 students. Like, dude, like, come on. You know, you're Bama, you're Clemson, dude. You guys should be playing every elite team every day, every week, dude. Excuse me, every week you should be playing an elite team. So that's why I kind of get frustrated when I see teams like Clemson playing these small-town schools, dude. It's like, obviously, now I wouldn't mind it if the small-town school made it to the playoffs, you know, but, like, come on. You know, beef up the schedule a little bit. That's all I want to see. You know, isn't that too much to ask for? Then we had the game of the week was the U versus Louisville, a.k.a. Miami University. They got the job done. They were actually underdogs this game going into Louisville. The over-under was 64.5, and it went with the over. Another high-scoring game. D. King, the quarterback for the U, he went 18 for 30 with 325 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Yo, King, this kid is good. You know, I didn't really hear about him till obviously the past couple weeks. This kid is good, dude. You know, I believe Miami U could be back, dude. And when I say Miami U could be back, I mean the U that we're used to seeing winning national championships. That's the U that I'm talking about. Really, dude, I see some glimpses of it. You know, hard defense, hard hitting, run the ball, throw the ball at will, whatever it takes to win the game. That's what the U football is, dude. I love the U. Yeah, and then we have their running back, Cameron Harris. He had 9 carries for 134 yards and 1 touchdown, dude. I'm telling you, the U is no joke. I think this year we're going to start to see certain glimpses of the U that we're used to seeing from the early 2000s, even the 1990s and the 1980s. Obviously, the 1980s were the peak of the U, but let's be honest here. The U is hard-hitting, dude. I mean, so many legends have went to the U. You know, from Ed Reed to Ray Lewis. The list goes on. Jeremy Shockey, just Willis McGahee. There's just so many, dude. Like, come on, dude. It's crazy. But the U, I think, dude, if the U runs their schedule this year, let's say they go undefeated, I really do think they could maybe get in that playoff spot, no doubt. You know, obviously they're going to have to beat some big-time school names, but, dude, the U, they could possibly run the table this year. It's a long shot, no doubt. Don't take my word on it and be like, yo, the U's going to win the national championship this year. Don't let's put the brakes, okay? I'm just saying they're going to have a great season. I'm saying at least a 10-win game season, just kind of like Notre Dame. Yes, they're going to have a 10-win game season. You know, Brian Kelly, I get it. You know, he just extended his contract to 2024, which is great, right, for Notre Dame fans. But I'm thinking, let's look at the flip side of Notre Dame, okay? Yes, Brian Kelly's got us to the big games, right? Well, let's look at the big games that we've lost. We lost to Georgia twice. We lost to Clemson in the playoff game. Now we're about to play Clemson this year. If we lose to Clemson again, then it's like, you know, Brian Kelly brings us, 10 wins a game. But what good is 10 wins a game if we're not getting to that national championship? If we're not winning a national championship, what good is it for Notre Dame, dude? You know, I don't want to see this happen again. I see it over and over again. And we lost to Bama. You guys remember the national championship with Manti Te'o and those guys? I mean, it's just over and over. You know, I mean, dude, I just don't want to see Notre Dame run the table, then lose to Clemson in a close game, which they probably will. Let's be realistic here. You know, yes, it's late in the season, but I get, like, come on. You know, I'm telling you, Notre Dame, they got to win the big games. And is Brian Kelly the coach to win you a big game? Let's be honest. The last big game that I can really remember off the top of my head of Notre Dame winning was Oklahoma at Oklahoma, and that was the year they went to the national championship. That was a long time ago. Yes, USC's elite, but USC's not the same as they used to be back when Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, those guys. Come on. I get it. But yes, Notre Dame's schedule has weakened up this year for them joining the ACC, no doubt. All I'm saying is dealing with Brian Kelly and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this year is, look, we need to win the big game. No excuses, dude. There should be no absolute excuses. If we lose any game, we're done. Then it's back to, yes, the 10-win game season with no national championship. You get where I'm going, Notre Dame fans? It's a script we've seen over and over again, dude. It's like a movie we keep watching over and over again. We know what's going to happen. Same thing like with Notre Dame. We know what's going to happen, dude. They're going to get to the big game, and they're probably more than likely going to lose. But look, I hope I'm wrong on this. I completely hope I'm way off on left field on this and say, you know what? Notre Dame's going to run the table this year. They're going to beat Clemson soundly at home. I would love for that. They're going to win the ACC championship game and then go into the playoffs and cruise into the national championship. I would love that, right? It sounds great. It sounds great, but the reality of the past, decade, for Notre Dame, it's been the same story over and over again. We get to the big game and lose. That's all I'm saying dealing with Notre Dame. Obviously, like I was talking about earlier with the U, I think, the U definitely has some potential this year. They do. We saw glimpses of it. I'm telling you, but college football is back, baby. I'm so glad this next week coming up, week 4, is going to be great. Like I said, we got the big-time schools back in it, baby. Their first games like Bama, like Georgia, Florida Gators, Texas A&M. Let's go. I cannot wait to see Oklahoma and Texas eventually play. I mean, that game, really, that's the deciding factor who's going to make it out of the Big 12 there. Who is it? Oklahoma or Texas? Obviously, I would say lean more towards Texas strictly because of their quarterback. He's been there for a couple years. He's more developed in that system. But Oklahoma's quarterback, dude, is no joke either. We're talking elite programs here. And this is great for college football. Yes, it would have been devastating to see and sit back here and say, you know what? Big Ten's out. Different types of conferences are out. I'm just glad the Big Ten finally made moves to really step it up and come back late October. That's all I'm saying, but college football is here, baby! Let's go!